Hello. Welcome to my channel Touching Stories. You're about to hear an amazing story about love and unexpected decisions. Enjoy watching. The morning at school began as usual. It was no different from any other school day of the year. The children gathered in the classroom and waited for English class. Their teacher, Jane Thomas, arrived just in time for class and took her seat at the teacher's desk. The students stood up to greet the teacher. "Have a seat. Who's on duty today?" "He's not here today," said the first-year student in the front row. "Who isn't there?" "No one was assigned to be on duty." "Assigned." "Chris was supposed to be on duty today, but he didn't come to school. His mom said he was sick." "Who took his place?" The teacher threw a glance at the class. "If there are no volunteers, I'll appoint one myself. Steve is on duty today." "But I was on duty yesterday," the boy at the back of the class said grudgingly. "Then Tyler," the teacher cut off, "and I'm on duty next week. What am I going to do today and then on Monday? Let's not talk." "So you've already wasted 5 minutes of class. And I still have homework to check." "I won't be on duty anyway," said a boy named Jack angrily. "Okay, then I'll wipe the board myself." Jane Thomas stood up and soaked a rag in a bucket. "What is the topic of today's lesson?" "You didn't ask us anything." Jane Thomas started wailing to the children. "What do you mean you didn't assign anything?" "So, at the end of the last lesson, you got sick and went to the teacher's lounge and didn't tell us your homework," said the honor student in the front row. "But I read the next chapter anyway." "All right, Kate. Then you come up to the board. Tell us the difference between verbs in the first form, in the second form, and in the third form." "You didn't ask us," the boy shouted again. "And Kate read it herself and will tell you now, instead of me. The verbs in the first form correspond to actions in the present tense, in the second to actions in the past tense. In the third form, the girl is thinking." "There you go. And you said you read the whole chapter. Guys, who knows why we need verbs in the third form?" Jane got up from her seat and immediately sat back down. The girl clutched at her stomach. She was 7 months pregnant, and now she was experiencing more and more abdominal pain and inexplicable weakness. The children noticed that the teacher was not feeling well. "Do you want me to get the nurse?" Kate suggested. "No, I'm fine. Let's continue the lesson. So verbs in the third form." Jane was about to begin her lecture when she felt a sharp pain in her stomach. She even cried out a little in surprise. "Ow, are you all right?" The children began to ask each other. "I don't know." She gripped her stomach and listened to how she felt. "I think it went away. Let me take you to the school nurse." The tallest boy in the class volunteered. "All right. Show me out. If you don't mind." Jane rose awkwardly from her chair and leaned on the shoulder that had been placed under her. So they reached the nurse's office. "Gloria, are you alone?" "Can I come in?" Jane knocked. "Come on in. I don't feel well." "That's it. Mark, thanks for walking me home." "What happened to you?" the nurse asked worriedly. "I felt a sharp pain in my stomach and everything was spinning around. And I feel weak. Let's see." Gloria palpated her teacher's stomach, took her blood pressure, and listened. All the while she was nodding her head, which didn't bode well for the diagnosis. Jane began to worry. "You need rest," nurse finally said. "I didn't do anything like that. I was just teaching a regular class. It's no big deal for you. Does your body have to work for 2 right now? Is it something serious?" "Not yet. But if you don't stop bullying yourself, you could hurt yourself and hurt the baby." "I need to finish my lesson." "You're at it again. Take a vacation. Go on maternity leave and rest. Although knowing you, you'll be working there too." "I seem to be feeling better." Jane got up from the couch. "Here are some pills for you. They will raise the hemoglobin in the blood." "Thank you. But promise me that after school you'll go straight to the doctor. Also promise me that you won't be so stressed out at work." Sure enough, Jane took the pill and chugged it down with a glass of water. "I have a scheduled ultrasound tomorrow. I'm going there with my boyfriend. Here we go again. What's wrong? Nothing is wrong with you. You have been sleeping and living together for 2 years. You're about to have a baby, and he's still just your boyfriend. We're thinking about getting married. Better yet, how do you explain to your child that his parents are not legally married? Yes, but today's kids don't think about that. Is that what you think? Do you know how many kids come to our school counselor with trauma? Mom doesn't love Dad. My parents are divorced. They understand everything, don't they? We purposely procrastinate with marriage to make sure that we are really right for each other so that we don't have to get divorced later. Thank you for the pill and the life guidance. Well, as you know, I have to get back to class. How can you change your mind? Waving to Nurse Jane, Gloria hugged her and they laughed. Everything in her life was so perfect now that little things like a slight illness couldn't spoil her joy at the prospect of motherhood. Grace held her daughter's hand as she entered the ultrasound room. A young man, Jane Adam, followed them in. Good afternoon. May I come in? Wow, how many of you are there? The doctor was delighted. We made an appointment for a routine ultrasound. Third. That's great. It's very good when the whole family and the father and even the grandmother come. We're really looking forward to this baby, Jane smiled. Lie down on the couch, and your husband and grandmother can sit here on the chairs. You will have a good view of everything. It's so exciting, Grace said. Nothing. It's a pleasant excitement. I'll tell you the sex of the baby if you want me to, the doctor replied, and put special helium on Jane's belly. We really want to. Let's see now. The doctor focused on the screen. Have you been feeling unwell lately? Yes, a couple of times. What is it? My stomach hurts from exercise, Jane said. She does everything around the house by herself. Suddenly, my grandmother came into the conversation. I tell her not to touch it. It's heavy. It's heavy. It's really better for you not to lift, the doctor nodded. What else do you do around the house? She does everything, her grandmother answered for her. And at work, she takes extra lessons. It's bad. I can see a little tone here, and if this keeps up, I'll have to go to the hospital. Doctor, I can't go to the hospital. I work as a teacher, and I have to help the children finish this quarter, Jane said pleadingly. But the doctor just shook his head. Think of your child first. I think about him all the time. Not edifying enough, Grace said. See, even the doctor tells you that, and you're still going along with it. I want to have a healthy grandson or granddaughter. It will be all right, the doctor nodded. Are we having a boy or a girl? Adam asked. Who would you like? The doctor smiled. The boy answered Adam. The girl's grandmother said, There's no pleasing everyone here. The doctor brought the ultrasound machine up again. You see, she pointed at some point on the screen. What is this? I don't understand anything here. Grace put on her glasses and looked at the screen. It's a baby, the doctor smiled. And it looks like you're having a boy. Thank God, Adam exhaled. It's okay to have a boy first. And then he'll need a little sister. Grace looked questioningly at her daughter. Mom, wait. We have to have one baby, and you're already planning a second baby. There's nothing wrong with the boy. I don't see any abnormalities in him. The doctor went on to tell me. Let it be a boy. As long as he's healthy, Grace said conciliatorily. I'm glad it's a boy too, said Jane. I had a dream last night that I was going to have a son. After the examination, the doctor helped the girl wipe the gel off her stomach and gave her a printout with the pictures. Family as a whole went outside. It felt so good, Jane breathed in the fresh air. I decided to give you a gift, Grace said. Mom, what are you doing? We don't need any presents. You don't have enough money to buy us anything else. But I've decided I want you to go somewhere for a vacation, and I'll buy you a trip. But I can't go now. I still have a quarter to go. You better go on your own. Did you hear what the doctor just said? You need a break from work. That's why I've decided that you should go to the sea, Grace said very emphatically. That's a great idea, Adam supported her. But what about me? Stop thinking of everyone but yourself. Insistently said Mom, you're going on vacation, and that's out of the question. Okay, but only in a couple of months. What's another couple of months? Have you seen your belly? It's going to get harder every day. No, you have to go out tomorrow and buy a last-minute trip and fly out in the next few days. Well, Mom, I've made my point. It was obvious to Grace that she wasn't going to give up on her plan. And after a little persuasion, Jane agreed to go to the sea. After all, it really had to be good for her and the baby. The manager of the travel agency was a very pleasant girl who was barely 20 years old. I'm very glad you came to our travel agency, she said in a sweet voice. We'd like to go to Mexico, Cancun, in the next few days, Adam said. Of course. This is a very popular place, and we have many options available. The girl looked at something on her computer monitor, and immediately the printer started making noise, printing out information about available trips. Here you can read about the hotel. It's pretty decent but inexpensive. Here's information about excursions. There are departures for tomorrow and Sunday. What would be more convenient for you? How quickly? Jane was surprised. When I was young, you would have had to wait a long time to go abroad. It must have been a long time ago. The manager blurted out and immediately became numb. Oh, I didn't mean to say anything about your age. That's okay. We can give you a discount if you book today. Have we decided that we're going to Mexico? Jane asked her young man, who was looking intently at the aids. What's not to your liking? I like everything. I ask you where you would like to go. I can't. What can't you do? I can't go with you. How so? Jane looked at the man in surprise. But that wasn't our agreement. He shrugged. We just decided yesterday that we were going on vacation together. And now it turns out you can't. Jane raised her voice. No. Yesterday we decided that you should rest. It wasn't about me at all. I'm not going alone. Are you kidding me? I'm pregnant, and I'm not an independent woman. I've only been abroad twice. How am I ever going to make it alone? I have a project to turn in. Adam turned away and looked at the flyers on the walls. So are you going to book or not? The manager interjected. We will, Adam answered emphatically. Come on, Jane. Pick whichever one you like best. I'll pay for everything. Mom wanted to give us a present. That's not necessary. It doesn't cost that much for us to use your mother's help. But at first it was, Jane says. However, the man interrupted her. Why did we come here in the first place? Just taking up a girl's time. Don't you think they have other clients? I do. But look, this is the hotel you like. Adam pointed to a picture of a beautiful room with a gorgeous view of the pool. Jane shrugged. They're all very pretty. Then we'll take this one. Okay, I'll do it now. The girl typed very quickly despite her long fingernails. What am I going to do there alone? Jane thought to herself. Soon a document appeared in front of her, and the girl asked her to sign. Look, this is the check, in date. This is the name of the hotel, and here is the list of documents that are required to cross the border. Do you understand everything? I think so. Adam quickly read the whole text. I don't understand. Jane began to panic. It's very simple. I'll give you all the necessary documents and tell you what to say and to whom. I don't know. Maybe we should postpone this vacation and go together later. Why save? And then when you give birth, you and I won't be able to go anywhere at all for a few years. And all the money will go only for the baby. This is your last chance. Adam urged her. All right, I really need to rest. Then please sign it. Here I will give you a copy of the document. The girl repeated again. Jane signed where she was directed, and Adam pulled out the money. You what? We've been cashless for a long time. Do you have a bank card? Yes, of course I do. The man pulled out his credit card and paid. The payment went through. Thank you and have a nice rest." The girl smiled and invited the next customer. Jane and her young man went outside. The girl looked at Adam and raised her eyebrows anxiously. "I still don't understand why you can't come with me." "Because I have such a job." "Then there is not enough of it." Then it all piles up at once. And now I'm in a period where I'm working all the time, and a month ago I didn't know what to do in the office. I'm worried about something. Everything will be all right. Many women dream of going to the sea. And imagine how useful it would be to our child. That's all I agreed to do. They hugged each other and walked slowly toward the parking lot. Jane had been very nervous all morning, even though she'd packed everything the day before. She still felt as if she'd forgotten something. Adam was a frequent traveler, so he had a lot more travel experience than her. And now he was helping her gather her thoughts before she went. Plane was 5 hours away, and I felt like I'd already missed it. Jane started whining. "I've already called a cab. It's about an hour to the airport. You're perfectly on time. You'll still have time." "What's taking so long?" "The guy just summoned him." "Did you put my birth certificate?" "Why?" "What if they ask him at the border?" "No one needs your birth certificate. Your passport will be enough for them. Don't worry about it." "There's nothing to worry about. Even people of advanced age travel alone. And it's a lot harder for them to adjust to all this technology." "You're right." "Did you put my phone charger in?" Jane went through her bag again. "I did. Please calm down. Here comes the cab. Come on, let's go. I'll walk you to your car." Adam took the bags, and 5 minutes later, they were out of the driveway. Jane nervously double-checked all her belongings while glancing at her watch, afraid the plane would leave without her. "I'll put the suitcase in the trunk. How am I supposed to take it out later?" "It's heavy." "The driver will help you. I'll have to pay him." "Don't worry, I'll tell him now. Besides, he sees the situation you're in. He'll be glad to help you." "God, I should have taken a sedative." "You'll relax as soon as you get on the plane." Adam kissed the girl. "I'll get on the plane. Nothing will happen to you. Don't even think about it. You'll get on the plane, put on your sleep mask, and relax. You can read something or even watch a movie on board. Before you know it, you'll be in Mexico." "All right, I'm off." Jane hugged Adam and kissed him softly goodbye. She got in the cab and the driver started the engine. The last time she'd taken a cab alone was when she'd first started dating Adam, and she'd spent the first night at his house. She'd been worried sick then too, but all she could think about was whether their relationship would work. Now she didn't know what to think about. She was worried about everything at once. How are the students without her? What will Adam do in her absence? What will she do alone in Mexico? "Do you mind if we stop at a gas station?" asked the driver. "Right now?" "Yeah, I'm almost out of gas." "Why didn't you fill it up earlier?" "I'm going to the airport, and I have a plane to catch. God forbid we should be late. It only takes 5 minutes to fill up." "Okay, but quickly." The driver turned off at a gas station. The wait was driving Jane crazy, and she went through the things in her purse to do nothing. She couldn't find her passport, though Adam assured her he'd put it with all her documents. She found a folder with the hotel reservation. There was also money, copies of tickets, but her passport was nowhere to be found. "Could you get my suitcase?" Jane asked the driver. "Did you forget something there?" "I think I forgot my passport." "It's good that you remembered that now. If anything, we can go back to your house. It's a 15-minute drive." The man helped Jane retrieve her luggage, and right at the gas station, she began taking things out and placing them on the ground. As she went through her suitcase, it became increasingly obvious to her that she had left her passport at home. "That's right," Jane slapped herself on the forehead. "My boyfriend said he'd put the passport with the keys on the nightstand so I'd remember to get them in the morning. And I was so nervous that I forgot them. It's always like that. We can come back. Of course, if there is no passport, there is no point in going to the airport either." He turned the car around, and after a while they were back at her doorstep. "I'm sorry, it's so inconvenient for me to have to chase you back and forth. That's okay. It's my job. Wait for me, please. I'll be right back. Jane awkwardly climbed out of the car. As she approached the door of her apartment, she smelled a strange, unfamiliar odor, like a woman's perfume. She didn't notice it at first, but when she opened the door, Jane froze on the floor in the hallway. She discovered the robe she often saw her roommate Kate wearing. The girl opened the door to the bedroom. The picture she saw there made her heart race and took her breath away. A young man, completely naked, was lying next to her and stroking her back. Seeing Jane, the lovers hurriedly pulled the blanket over. "Jane, didn't you leave?" Confused, Adam asked. "What's going on here?" Jane asked. You just decided to cheat on me." "No, it was an accident. Kate is our neighbor. We flooded her and she came to complain. We flooded Kate because she lives on the same floor as us. Well, I don't mean flooded. It's just that our water was open. My husband kept mumbling. I get it. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just forgot my passport. I'll get it and leave you two alone." Jane walked unceremoniously into the bedroom, ignoring the embarrassment. She took the passport from the nightstand and looked intently into her husband's eyes. "Is that why you sent me to Mexico?" "It's nothing like that," Adam protested. "What about you?" Jane glared angrily at her neighbor. "You and I were communicating. Don't tell me now that you didn't know he had a girlfriend." She didn't answer anything. "Okay, I'll leave you two alone. Now I understand that you'll have something to do while I'm on vacation." "Jane, come on. Anyone can make a mistake. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a fling." "I'm glad you chose just an affair over a vacation with me, and you're about to have a baby. And maybe we could have been a full-fledged family. But that's out of the question now, of course." Jane left the apartment, slamming the door loudly. "What do we do now?" Kate whispered. "Don't do anything. We have 3 days while she's in Mexico, and then we'll deal with the problems." "I can't do that. I didn't want to upset her. After all, it wasn't her fault. It's hard enough for her right now. I really didn't want her to find out about us. There you go. I don't want to discuss it now. You and I have a great weekend planned. Let's spend it." Adam pulled the girl to him and wanted to kiss her, but she turned away. "Do you love me more than you love her?" "Of course, more. Would you want to start a family with me?" "Do you still have to ask?" "Just look at you. A real beauty. Any man would only dream of having a girl like that walking next to him and having everyone look at her." Kate moved toward the man and hugged him gently. "Then let's spend this weekend the way we planned." Adam smiled slyly and threw off his blanket. When Jane returned from her trip, she entered the apartment very carefully, so as not to witness any more explicit scenes. This time she found Adam sitting in the kitchen with a bottle of beer. "Thank God you're alone this time," she said with a sneer. "Don't mock me. I feel bad enough as it is. I wonder why. Because I didn't want to hurt you, but I did. And I don't want our family to break up because of something so stupid. You do realize that she meant nothing to me, right?" Adam turned to his girlfriend and tried to take her hand. "I've been thinking about it all these days." Jane sat down next to him. "On the one hand, it was very painful and unpleasant for me, but on the other hand, you and I are going to have a baby. And I have to look at some things with an adult's eye." I said I was sorry. "Sorry doesn't help here. I don't see how I can live with you right now. At least not until this pain subsides and we were planning to get married. Let's pretend it never happened. I didn't do it on purpose." "Yeah, well, it wasn't on purpose to end up naked in the same bed with another man's woman," Jane sneered. "I decided to keep our relationship, even though it wasn't easy for me." "I understand, and I'm glad you made that decision. You have to promise me that you'll never see this Kate again." "I'll be honest with you. I can't promise you that I'll never talk to her again. I understand, really? Well, of course, she's our neighbor, and sooner or later you'll run into her in the elevator. It would be foolish to ignore her. That's not what I meant." Adam said, and took a big sip of beer. That I wouldn't be able to stop talking to her right away. We'll keep in touch for a while, but as friends. Are you out of your mind? After what I saw here, you're going to be friends with her? Yes, but only to be friends and support her. She has a very difficult life situation right now. I can't leave her alone. Are you making fun of me? And you say that to your pregnant girlfriend's face? But there's nothing wrong with that. Why can't you leave her right now? Because she's pregnant too, Adam almost shouted, and he put his hand back on the bottle. God, from you? From me. So this isn't your first time? Jane said thoughtfully. She'd really like a drink right now too. Yes, not the first one. But what do you care? It's very big. It's important for me to know, how long have you been seeing her? Almost 4 months, Adam said, and looked away. Did you start sleeping with her when you already knew I was pregnant? Yes. It all started so unexpectedly there. We kind of wanted to celebrate the news of your pregnancy, but something went wrong. That's what they said. Now do you see why I can't stop talking to her? I'll just help her morally and give her money from time to time. She doesn't ask anything of me. We decided we weren't going to get married. Have you decided? So you thought about it too. But at first she wanted her child to have a father. But after you caught us, she became ashamed. Well, at least one of you has a conscience. So you have to make a choice. It's either me or her. What are you starting? It's like we're in a movie. There are difficult situations in life in which it is impossible to choose. Well, you'll have to, Jane said firmly. Then I choose you without hesitation, Adam replied. Don't you want to take some time to think about it? I've already thought of everything. You have to break up with her. And if I see you texting with her or accidentally catch you together, then our relationship is over right away. I got it. The man opened another bottle of beer. You'd better settle this matter as soon as possible. I'm in no condition to waste my nerves on you either. I'll make up my mind. The girl went to sort out her suitcases, and Adam sat staring dumbly out the window for a long time. When it got dark and he could see his reflection in the glass, he suddenly woke up and realized that he had been in the kitchen for hours. Kate clung to her beloved man, not paying attention to the people who passed them. Aren't you embarrassed? She asked Adam playfully. No. Why should I be embarrassed? That you're here with me and all the people can see it. There's nothing wrong with that, Adam said, but still released from the girl's embrace. Here's our bus. They got on the front row. Kate immediately tried to take the man's hand. I think you're embarrassed of me after all, she said. It seems to you. Then kiss me right now in front of everyone. But there are children here. We don't do any of that. Let the children see what true love looks like. Kate, stop it. Come on, give me a kiss. When we get off the bus, maybe I will. But in the meantime, don't push me. Some old lady is already looking at us. You care about all kinds of broads, but you don't care about me. Kate pouted and looked away. Stop it. This isn't the place. Maybe you don't love me anymore? Maybe. She hadn't expected such an answer, and she looked questioningly at Adam. He looked thoughtfully at his fingernails. So you've changed your mind about going out with me? She asked sadly. Look into my eyes. I haven't changed my mind. It's just that things are more complicated now than they were before. I have to rethink everything. I should have reconsidered before you, and I decided to have a baby. We didn't decide. It just happened by chance. Now you say you didn't want him? And who swore love to me and told me I would be the perfect wife? What about that married life you and I have planned? We had a drink. I just wanted to have a romantic evening. So it wasn't true. In part, it was true. Adam was afraid to look into the girl's eyes, and a real flame was already blazing in them. So now you want to avoid responsibility? It's a good job you're doing. Well, just so you know, you can't get away from me that easily. If you promise me something, you have to keep it. I didn't promise you anything. He brushed it off. No, you promised. You swore that you loved me. The next one is ours. We're coming out now. Can you hear me? If you've decided to break up with me now, then forget about it altogether. You and I will be together. I'll take you away from any girl. You don't have to take me away from anyone, Adam said tiredly. Oh, stop, get up. They got off the bus and walked toward the hospital. Kate had a routine pregnancy consultation today, and she had asked Adam to go with her because she was really worried. Now she wasn't happy about it either, because the man had only ruined her mood. Have you changed your mind about coming with me? No, I promised. Then let's go. But let's not talk to you again after today, reluctantly, Adam said. We will communicate. What is this nonsense? You and I live in the same apartment, and the child still has to know the father. You don't have to tell him I'm his father, the man asked. And then he was slapped in the face by his girlfriend. Bastard. My child will have a loving father. And it will be you. You have no right to leave me alone with this problem. You realize I don't even work. I'll help you get a job. No, you're going to help me get my family settled. She took him by the sleeve and dragged him to the hospital. Stop, Adam suddenly stopped. I don't want it to be forced. You know what I'm talking about. You don't want to do it my way, and I don't agree with your terms. So one of us has to give in. It certainly won't be me, said the man. So you're just going to leave me like this. I'll keep in touch with you. I'll give you money if you need it. But I don't want to ruin my family life. How could I not have guessed that? It's just that your Jane has brainwashed you. And now you're afraid to even look me in the eye. Stop it. It's my own decision. Yeah, sure. She was just pushing pity, and now you've decided to give up my baby to stay with her. But it's not going to work. I'm not like her. I'm not like her. I want to be your wife. Please accept my decision and don't make me talk you into it. Well, if you're so easy to convince, you'll change your mind soon enough. I can live without you. If you ever want to see me again, you know where I live. I know, but I don't think I want to. Kate shrugged and turned her back on him. Walking into the hospital alone, she felt like a proud and strong woman. She thought she knew Adam well, and she believed he wouldn't give up on her that easily. Jane was already falling asleep when she suddenly felt Adam go to bed, and she glanced out of the corner of her eye at the clock. It was 2:00 in the morning. So where have you been? She asked calmly. What are you doing up? I'd sleep if I knew where you were. Just hanging out with friends after work. It's okay. Go to sleep. He snuggled under the covers and turned his back to her. Were you with friends until 2 in the morning? That's the first time in our 4 years together. Do you want to have an argument now? I want you not to lie to me. They turned away from each other and lay in silence for a while. Adam closed his eyes and tried to sleep, but Jane kept tossing and turning, and the men decided to talk to her. What have you got on your mind already? I don't have to put on an imagination to see you the mistress, Jane said. There is no mistress. How can I trust you? Now you have to. Kate and I agreed that we would never see each other again. Really? Jane turned to Adam. Honestly, I said, I don't want anything more to do with her, and I choose to stay with you. Show me your phone. What was that for? I want to see when was the last time you corresponded with her. Are you going to check my phone now? You know that only crazy wives do that. You won't. And I was about to believe you. Jane turned away from him again and pretended to be asleep. I'm not giving you my phone because I don't like you not trusting me and poking around in my correspondence. Not because I'm communicating with her in secret from you. Look, he handed her his phone. But here I am looking at it. Jane flipped through his correspondence with Kate. The last message dated from last week. All right. I'll believe you this time. But how do I know you're not dating? Jane, I did everything I could to keep our relationship together. And you suspect me of something again. Naturally, I suspect you of something. You got her pregnant. Any woman in her place would be trying to get her man. She wouldn't just give up. She is not pregnant. How? You said it yourself. No longer pregnant. The girl turned on the light and looked intently at Adam. Yes, she had an abortion. It was her choice. Wow, I could never do that, even if the child is not my husband's. There are other ways to do it, you poor thing. Now you feel sorry for her. I pity her, a woman. You'll never understand what she's been through. Okay, let's go to sleep. Now that you know everything, you can calm down. Adam reached over and turned out the light. Jane lay there with her eyes open. She was terrified to imagine herself in the place of the girl her husband had forced to have an abortion. She couldn't believe that it had been her voluntary decision. Surely he had refused to see her and promised not to call her again. Surprised, Jane felt that she really felt sorry for Kate. Adam, quietly she asked, what else? Would you make me have an abortion too? I didn't force anyone. It's so scary. It is scary when there is no support, when you are left alone with your problems. That period, which should be the happiest in a woman's life, suddenly turns out to be the hardest. After that, I would completely lose confidence in men. If you're so sympathetic to her, I can go back to her, Adam joked. No, we're almost a full family now, and you and I are going to have a beautiful son. Let's name him after your father, Neil. Come on, Daddy loved it. So, it's decided. You and I are about to have a little Neil Smith. Jane kissed her husband gently on the cheek. In the darkness, she didn't see that her kiss made him smile. Jane and Adam were returning from the store with huge bags. It was their tradition to go every weekend, to shop at a huge department store, and then to lay out those groceries and have a grand dinner in the evening. Already approaching the driveway, Jane suddenly stopped. Wait, she said. What's the matter? Are you sick to your stomach again? I knew you shouldn't have carried heavy bags. No, look, she pointed to the front door. What did you see her doing there? Adam only noticed that a girl in a woman's dress went into the entryway. Who was that? Kate. Kate. Don't you recognize her? The girl laughed. I just didn't see her. Let's go. What's up here? Wait. You don't want to ride in the elevator with her. Let's take a few minutes to make sure she gets to the apartment and closes the door. You'll be thinking every time you walk into the house that you're not going to accidentally run into Kate. What to do? That's not normal. Is it hard for you to just say hello to her? It's not normal to just say hello. Jane looked at her young man with such a surprised look, as if she'd never seen him before in her life. Yes, she hates me. I'm afraid to turn my back on her, let alone ride in the same elevator with her. I don't know what she'll think. Did you make that up yourself? I'd hate my rival if I were her, but I wouldn't hurt her. Adam shrugged. She'd definitely made it to the apartment by now. Let's go home. They reached the driveway. Jane dialed the code and opened the door. She made sure no one was near the elevator and then went inside. Listen, she turned suddenly to Adam. You said you had another apartment, didn't you? Yeah, my grandmother's apartment. She's got tenants living there now. The money goes to her as a supplement to her pension. Why do you need that apartment? We could swap with her. Let her rent our apartment. We could stay at her place. Now you want to move. Kate is unlikely to move. I don't think she has anywhere. As far as I know, she inherited the apartment from her mother. Are we going to run away every time? Every time you have a mistress. Jane's neighbor raised her eyebrows and looked reproachfully at her husband. Yeah, that's not what I meant. I really hope so. Well, if it makes you feel more comfortable, then let's move. Although personally I don't support this idea, and I need you to support me. Just give your consent and agree with your grandmother, and I'll organize the move myself. They went into the apartment and were relieved to dump the grocery bags on the floor. Jane immediately picked up Adam's phone and handed it to him. Call your grandmother. Why? Talk about the apartment. Let her know about it as early as possible and have time to prepare. What's the emergency? At least I'll wash my hands. Call, the girl said very insistently. and Adam was left with no choice. He dialed the number. "Grandma, good afternoon. How are you doing? How's your health?" Jane stood next to him and gestured for him to get to the point quickly. Adam nodded and turned away. "Grandma, I have a favor to ask of you. We're in trouble and we need to move somewhere." "No, there's nothing wrong with me. Jane's fine too. We had a problem with the apartment, or rather with the neighbors." "No, they didn't. Can we stay at your place? We'll rent this one out in the meantime." Adam chatted with his grandmother some more and ended the call. "Well," Jane stared at him impatiently, "everything's fine. Turns out the tenants moved out last month. We can move in today." "Yay!" the girl cried out and hugged the man. "You wouldn't understand, but it's very important to me. Sometimes I don't understand you at all." Adam laughed and kissed her. When all the boxes were open, Jane breathed a sigh of relief. "It's good that we didn't forget anything. And it was very fortunate that we moved all the things at once. It wasn't easy, but now we will live in perfect harmony. By the way, have you seen where our linens are? You packed the boxes. I didn't even know we had it." "What do you mean I didn't know?" "What do you sleep on? I never paid attention." Jane went through the contents of all the boxes again, until at last she found white sheets. Adam opened the refrigerator out of boredom, and finding nothing of interest in it, began to pack for the store. "You don't mind if I leave you here and go buy something for dinner?" "I don't mind at all. You would do a very useful thing. There's a really good supermarket nearby. Can I buy you anything?" "Orange juice. It's really hot today. I'm really thirsty." "Okay, I won't be long." Adam went downstairs and walked to the nearest supermarket. He took the cart and went to pick out some vegetables. When out of the corner of his eye, he noticed a very pretty girl standing nearby. She was scrutinizing the window, not paying attention to the people around her, but when she felt someone else's eyes on her, she turned around. "Good afternoon," Adam greeted her politely. "Hello." The girl replied indifferently. It was obvious she was well aware of her beauty, and she was already tired of the attention of extraneous men. But Adam did not give up. "Tell me which apples are better to take. What do you need it for?" "To eat." "What else are apples for?" "There are times when apples are needed for pie or compote." "No, I like to eat them for nothing." "Then take these red ones. They're juicy and sweet enough." The girl handed him the apples. "Thank you very much." "How much do they cost?" "I don't know. It's not like I work here." The girl shrugged her shoulders and went on about her business. "Wait," the man hurried after her. "Is there anything else you need to know?" "Yes. No, I was wondering, what's your name?" "My name is Amy." "But that's not going to help you." "My name is Adam." "Why wouldn't that help me?" "Because I don't meet men in supermarkets," said the girl and went to the checkout line. "But you and I have already met." Adam followed her. "That's not true. All you know about me is my name. That's not enough to get to know me and what is missing. But maybe the person's consent to meet you. And now, if you don't mind, I'll have to go to the cash register. Let me help you." Adam dropped his basket somewhere in the hall and hurried after Amy. "You must have come here to buy groceries for your family, and you're wasting your time with me." "I don't have any family. I live alone. If I come home, no one will be upset without food, except myself, of course. In that case, I would be grateful if you could help me." Adam began laying out her groceries on the ribbon while still having time to scrutinize the girl. She had a flawless figure, a thin waist, and taut hips. Her long blonde hair came down to her chest in large curls. The man even thought that he would never get a date with such a girl. After all, she must be dating someone very cool and rich. But he decided not to give up. "Where do you live?" he asked. "It's not far." "Why?" "I thought I could help you carry the bags." "You don't have a car?" the girl asked with a kind of disappointment in her voice. "By car." Adam lied. "I usually drive, but I went out to get groceries." And since I don't live too far away, I decided to walk here too. I believe you. The girl laughed. The cashier punched in his purchases and looked questioningly at Adam, waiting for payment. Amy looked at him too and took her time pulling out her wallet. "Aren't you going to pay?" asked Amy in a sweet voice. "I don't mind." "How much was it?" $45. "Wow." Adam looked in his wallet and pulled out a card. "If you don't have that kind of money, I can pay for it myself. I was just asking." Amy looked at him mockingly. "I have that kind of money," Adam said, and attached his card. "Thank you." Amy packed her grocery bags. "So how about walking you out and helping with the bags? I live in that house over there on the first floor." "Which apartment?" the man clarified. "That's too early for you to know. If you don't have any plans for the next 20 minutes, let's walk to my house." They each took a bag and set off. Adam suddenly realized that the cars around them were getting more and more expensive, and the houses were getting more and more secure. Amy lived in one of the most upscale houses in the neighborhood. It suggested that she might have a rich husband or lover. "Amy, do you have a young man?" Adam decided to clarify, fearing not for the moral side of things, but for his own safety. "We broke up 2 weeks ago. You probably haven't recovered yet?" "I'm perfectly fine. Here we are. Thank you for helping me. Maybe you could leave me your phone number." "I don't know, but I do." Adam pulled out his cell phone and got ready to dial. "Dictate." Amy dictated her phone number to him, and he called it right away. A ringing tone came from her purse. "I was just checking to see if it was really your number. And you're sneaky. That's the kind of man I like. Call me sometime and we'll go to a restaurant." The girl opened the door and stepped into the entryway. Adam could not believe that such a girl agreed to go out with him. On the way home, he suddenly realized he hadn't bought anything at the store. To return empty-handed was to give Jane reason to be suspicious. He returned to the grocery store and spent another few $dozen, this time on his own purchase. Adam came home and from the doorstep cheerfully informed Jane, "I bought you a lot of goodies. We are going to have a wonderful evening." "Good boy, come here," shouted the girl from the room. "I'll just put everything in the fridge. Then you can put it all out. Come here." "What's the emergency?" Adam took his shoes off and went into the room. "How was the shopping?" Jen asked with a sly smile. "It was a great trip." "How else can you go to the store?" "What kind of interrogation are you doing to me?" "Just wondering. What if you've already started getting to know your roommate here, too?" "Don't make this up. I didn't meet anyone." "Then what took you so long?" "I forgot to buy cheese. I had to go back." He made up excuses as he went along. "So it's cheese. It's a good thing you came back for it. I was just about to have cheese sandwiches tonight." "Is that it? Can I go and put my groceries in the refrigerator?" "Not really." "Don't you want to confess anything to me? What do you always suspect me of? I make one mistake, and now you'll remember it for the rest of your life. I can't even leave the house anymore." "You can, but you can't lie." "What makes you think I'm lying to you?" the man snapped. At that moment, Jane turned on the light, and Adam saw that very beautiful girl sitting next to him on the bed. For a few seconds, he couldn't understand what was wrong or how this could happen. "What do you say now?" Jane raised his eyebrows questioningly. "Who is it?" Mimicking incomprehension, Adam asked. "Wow, what a short memory you have. She told me her name just a short time ago. And you've already forgotten? What are you talking about? I've never seen this girl before in my life." "It can't be." "Amy, do you know this man?" "Of course," said the girl, in a pleasant voice. "He had just graciously paid for my groceries and helped me carry them home." "How come he didn't remember you?" Jane asked pretentiously. "I have no idea." "Actually, he didn't remember you either. He just told me he has no family and lives alone," Amy said. "It's strange the man had 2 bouts of amnesia in half an hour. Jane, I swear to you, this girl is cheating on you. I don't know her." "Then how did I get this?" Amy pulled out her phone and showed the incoming call from Adam. I don't know. I don't know where it came from. I wonder if you have it written down. Let's see your phone. Stop looking at my phone already. I'm sick of you not trusting me enough. I have better things to do than get involved in your arguments. Adam turned around and wanted to go into the kitchen. Give the phone here quickly. Jane ordered him. Are you going to be rude to me in my own house? I said phone. Jane held out her palm. Both girls waited to see what would happen next. Okay, don't read my correspondence. I assure you that I did not correspond with this Amy of yours. Adam gave them the phone. I'm not going to read your texts. I'll see if you've called anybody, if you have her by name. So, you know each other at least. Jane flipped through his contact list and saw her friend's phone. Wow. Turns out you know her after all. Jane, stop it, just asking for her phone as a courtesy. I didn't even like her. What? Amy asked indignantly. You're not my type. I offered to carry your bags home just because you were skinny and in heels, not because I liked you. Adam kept making excuses. Amy, you can imagine it. We seem to have found the one man who walks a girl home, not because he likes her, but to do a good deed. You could have walked some old lady home for me. Amy shook her head. It's all taken care of. Can I go now? Adam was losing patience. Of course you can. But you'll just have to get out of this apartment and out of my life, Jane said. Why would you suddenly decide to leave me for such a little thing? It's not a small thing. When we moved in, I thought it would be a good idea to check you out, so I asked my prettiest friend to meet you at the store. I was curious. Did you really have some kind of unearthly love affair with Kate? Or are you just a dog and will cheat on me with everyone? You also brought Kate into it. It was all an accident. I love only you, and I want to stay with you. I'm afraid that's impossible now. While you were out there, Amy and I packed your things. Where should I go? Wherever you want. That's not my problem anymore. Good thing you're kicking me out of my own apartment. It's not your apartment. It's your grandmother's apartment. What's the difference? This is my family's apartment, which you no longer have anything to do with. So I'm kicking you out. You can't do that. I thought of it first, Jane laughed. The thing is, I didn't just offer to move here. Your grandmother and I agreed a long time ago that she would sign the apartment over to her grandson. But her grandson wasn't born yet, so she signed it over to me. That's ridiculous. I don't believe it. You'll have to believe it. Jane reached into the box and handed Adam the document. It says exactly what it says. If it's your apartment, it's mine too. No, it's not like we're officially married. You couldn't find the right moment to go to the registry office with me. How so? Adam squatted down and put his arms around his head. Think about it somewhere else. And Amy and I are going to eat all those goodies you kindly paid for at the store. The girls stopped paying attention to Adam, pulled out a box of chocolates, and began to eat with gusto. Adam hesitantly got up, picked up his bags of belongings and left. He moved back into his apartment. Fortunately, it hadn't been rented yet. Somewhere in the back of his mind, Adam was even glad it had happened, because he wasn't ready to be a father. He wanted to continue to lead a riotous life. But the presence of his wife, who constantly told him what he could and could not do, made him uncomfortable. Adam found nothing better to do than to go to the nearest bar. The weather wasn't very nice, so the bar was crowded. He saw a very pretty girl near the bar and immediately sat down to her. "Good evening," he said. "Good evening to you too," replied the stranger. "What are you drinking?" "Martini." "Have you ever tried mixing martinis with champagne?" "No, I haven't." "Then you haven't seen anything yet in your life. It's the tastiest thing there is. Let me buy you one. Please, since you and I are drinking together, let's get acquainted. My name is Adam. Brooke, how would you feel about leaving this bar and spending the evening somewhere more private? Where is that, for example? There's a great restaurant near my house. There are always very few people there and the food is delicious. And then we'll go to your place if you want." "I don't think so. Brooke sipped her martini, losing all interest in the conversation. Then we can talk here too. Why don't you give me your phone number, so I don't get lost? I wasn't going to get lost. Well, so that you and I can wake up tomorrow morning and not forget this acquaintance, Adam insisted. What makes you think I'll wake up tomorrow and not want to forget about you? I just assumed. Adam realized that his flirtation with this girl was not going to work at all. He was about to leave and look for another victim when Brooke looked at him carefully and exclaimed, I remembered who you reminded me of, the catcher from the movie. You're the guy Amy wrote about in her blog. What blog? Amy is a famous blogger. She goes on dates and describes everything on the internet. I just love reading her, and so do all my friends. She has at least 1 million followers. What does that have to do with me? She just recently wrote an article about you. I'll show you. The girl reached for her phone and showed Adam the phone screen. Isn't that a picture of you? It's mine, he nodded. Still not understanding anything. Look, she writes that she met you in a store. You introduced yourself as a free man, when in fact there was a pregnant girl waiting for you at home. And she writes a warning to everyone not to meet you. What nonsense. I don't even know who it is. That's what she writes about too. When she and your girlfriend confronted you, you pretended you didn't know each other. Do you believe everything you read on the internet? Jane, I believe. Well, you shouldn't have. From the way you've been coming on to me, I can easily believe you've been getting to know everyone. Let me take a picture with you and upload it to her blog. What's that for? Let her know that her articles help girls and let others see what kind of person you are. That's enough. Put the camera away. Don't take pictures of me. People like you don't deserve any other treatment, Brooke said, and uploaded his picture. That's it. No one's going to meet you for a long time. So why did you do it? My ex-boyfriend also cheated on me, but I didn't know how to get back at him. Cheating back seemed silly. It was only now that I realized that the best way to get back at a cheater was to stop him from cheating. But I'm not your ex-boyfriend. You'll never be one. The girl laughed and walked toward the company of her friends. Adam stood in the middle of the dance floor. There were a lot of girls around him, but all of them laughed at the sight of him, pointing their fingers at him and whispering something in each other's ears. He realized he wasn't going to meet a new girl tonight anyway. So he ordered a large mug of beer and sat down in the corner. Amy, looking sympathetically at her friend, helped Jane unpack. Look, Jane, it's certainly been a lot of fun. But how are you going to be alone with the baby now? Maybe we went a little overboard. What are you talking about? Maybe we shouldn't have put your boyfriend to the test. You would have had a full-fledged family now. And because of me, you broke up. Don't be silly. You saved me from him, so to speak. If he hadn't met you, he would have found some other girl. You can't fix him now. And you're not sorry to part with it? It's a shame, but my life changed dramatically for the better with this breakup. Jane sat down on the bed and hugged her friend. I know his family loves you very much. And the baby needs a father, too. He will have a father. When I went to the hospital, I met a very handsome man, a doctor. He asked me why I was so sad, and I told him everything. Christopher Baker, a widower. His wife passed away 3 years ago. He shared his tragic story and told me not to be sad. There are tougher situations in life like his, but that's all right. Christopher came out of his depression. He even started hitting on me, but I thought he didn't mean it, and he was really in love. All this time, he and I were texting each other all the time. He was calling me to visit and was sending me money for groceries so that I would eat right and my baby would be okay. Tonight, he and I are going on a date. And you know what I think all the trials I've been going through lately have led me to my true destiny and incredible love.